Uh, had this debate on Friday. Didn't really promote it that much. Takes a little time and forethought to do that. Did a fair amount of preparation because I thought this was going to be more of a war than it was, which kind of threw me. So honestly, it was kind of lackluster. I thought when I actually did it, after doing it, but I went back and listened. It was fairly interesting. I don't know if it would be interesting to other people. Um, there's a difference between having a debate and having a discussion. Like both are good and have their place. But and I guess the criticism of debates is they're staged, they're artificial. But like that's kind of the point. You're advocating for a cause. Um, I mean, it's better if it's something you really believe in. But the point isn't to entertain yourself or have an interesting discussion. The point is to advocate your side and hopefully make it interesting. Maybe have some blood sports. So I thought it was disappointing. I went back and listened to it. I thought it was more interesting and wasn't a dud when I listened to it, but not a great quote debate because, well, this guy was all edgy when he messaged me. That's kind of how this started. And then I challenged him to a joust. Like, hey, if you want to joust on stream sometime, I'm down. Whatever why would I use that word? I never use that word, but whatever. So then we did it. And if you're making the JQ, it's an affirmative position, right? Like, if you're saying the JQ is legit, you have to make a case, right? If I say, I don't know, what's an example of what I would call an affirmative case? Like, we should create new ethno-states separated by races. It's my case to make because that's kind of an extreme situation. So if you're advocating for something that doesn't exist or isn't accepted, and I would say the JQ, at least in Western society, isn't accepted as being legit. Like, it's your case to make, which is fine. That's why they get to go first. He argued first, which makes sense actually, and he also got to close, which I think that's fair because it's his case to make. But sometimes when you're second to open, you close to make it fair. But that's the way it's done in a prosecutorial case because they have the higher burden of proof. They have the advantage of opening, and they also have the advantage of closing. Anyway, so there wasn't. There was. It got better, but like there wasn't. He didn't make the case for why the JQ was legit. His case was basically, well, you guys have been persecuted for 6,000 years. I didn't even know Judaism was that old. I thought it was like 5,000 years. Whatever. You've been persecuted for 6,000 years, and I'm going to name a bunch of Jews that have done bad things, like communists. And it's like, okay, that's an extremely weak argument. People are persecuted for various reasons. And to say, like, oh, we're going to put the blame on you. It's like, what about all the other people that were persecuted by European societies, right? Like, how is that a case? Like, what about the people doing the persecuting? How does that not impugn them? Like, how are we going to blame the people that were hated? Like, if you're going to make that case, okay, you need to prove it, but he didn't prove it at all. At best, he just listed a bunch of like things that he thinks Jews are responsible for without substantiating it. And just like low bar shit, like, oh, you poisoned wells and you started the plague. It's like, what? This is all nothing. Like, you didn't prove a fucking thing. And then he name dropped, like some communist Jews, low tier shit. And I don't know, I responded to all of it, but if he's not making a case, you can't really destroy it. So like initially I felt like, well, I should have gone harder on this guy. I talked about some of his posts promoting violence. I didn't realize that his picture during the debate was my avatar in a gas chamber. You know what I mean? Which is like, okay, it's edgy humor, but here this guy is saying like, oh, you guys are bad because you're promoting these harmful ideas, and here he is in a roundabout way, joking or promoting violence, however you want to look at it. Um, so I kind of wish I went harder on him because I had more talking points of like all the various fabrications that have been made, the stupidness of these arguments and how they make no sense. Like, not even double standards, but I don't know what you would call them, but criticisms for being complete, like, for being polar opposites. Like, Jews are criticized for being warmongers and also for being pacifists that don't want to fight. Just the ridiculousness of this belief system. The kosher sandwich, which is their way of saying, oh, well, these two Jews who believe totally opposite things, it's just part of their plan to be on the same team and do what's good for them and undermine everybody else. Literally, they're taking something where two people are doing completely opposite things. Like, either being completely opposite things would be someone who's a staunch Zionist and someone who wants to dismantle the state of Israel, and being like, oh, well, although it looks like they're complete opposite, they're actually on the same team, part of the same conspiracy. Like, it's complete bullshit. Totally stupid. That's what I wish I did more of, but at the same time, dealing with anti-Semites is tricky because they already think we figuratively have a thumb on them, like we're dominating them, like we're ruining them. So to just like go gloves off in a debate and try to embarrass one of these guys, I think is counterproductive because it's just going to reinforce their belief system, entrench their ideas more, make them angrier. I think the right approach is to, without attacking them personally, illustrate the ridiculousness of the ideology, like I did to some degree, but could have done more and have listed just now. But it's very difficult to do because they believe so many ideas that are ridiculous and disproven, like the idea of unprovoked Judea declares war on Germany, which is totally ridiculous. And he thinks the Jews did this because they took away their banking monopoly or something. It's totally asinine. But that's what these people believe. But I think the more you illustrate the idiocy and all the lies and make them defend that, that's probably maybe the best approach you can take, rather than them let them level accusations at you, which I still think is okay, because it's like, well, you can illustrate the idiocy of their arguments there, but you want to go where you want to go in a debate. You don't want to let the person make their case and then you try to refute it. You refute their ideas as they bring them up, but you want to bring what you want to bring up. So that's what I could have done better. But it can be done in a friendly, non-hostile, non-blood sports way, because you're trying to reach your opponent that has these extreme beliefs, and you're trying to reach their audience. So I think that's the way to go about it, not to like destroy these people and try to ruin their morale and hate and fight the ideology, not the people, because they don't have to necessarily be your enemies. So that's just this debate. I was going to make another video talking about the value of debates, some resources, how more people should do this. Just, they don't even have to do debates. Just go on stream and talk to people who think this way. It's really not that hard, to be honest. You just learn their rationales, and we have some documents that go over the facts and how these arguments are made. You could learn about it pretty quickly. It's an interesting subject. And then, even if you don't know, see, 'cause people are afraid they're going to get caught in something they don't know and don't know the answer to. Like, for example, Jewish connection to the Young Turks and their Armenian genocide. Like, I don't really know that one. Or even the communists, I don't really know it. You just got to know the patterns. They're just finding some Jewish person to pin a bad thing on and being like, see, more proof that the JQ is real, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, it's the same approach, I know. So it helps to know the facts, but it's hard to know all the facts. It takes time of like who was who and what the correct analysis is. But even if you don't know, it's like the vast majority of all these events were dominated by Gentiles, and you're just finding some Jew to try to pin the thing on in order to make your straw house of a case seem stronger than it is. What else? It was a learning experience. Like, I'll try to do better next time, but I don't think it definitely wasn't a lost cause because I learned from it, and I don't think it was that bad. It just wasn't that good, wasn't that great. I never actually did a legit debate before. So if I do a debate, I'm going to do debate bro mode next time. And if I do a discussion, well, that comes naturally anyway. Like, save the discussion for a discussion. If you're going to do a debate, do a fucking debate. Just play the role. That's what you're supposed to be doing. That's what the audience wants to see, etc., etc. What else? Yeah, these people they're in an echo chamber, which is good and bad, because you don't want such extreme beliefs being preached to the masses. But it's also bad because their ideas don't get refuted, even though they're resistant to that to begin with. So that's why it's good to go into their communities and have these discussions. Even if you completely fail, then you know what fails and what doesn't work. As long as you're not helping them in their cause, which I don't think I did, although they claim that. They like to claim, like, oh, you've proven my beliefs. No, now I believe even more. Like, you've radicalized me. That's just a stupid tactic they try to say to try to get some type of an own. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to make a video, like a general video, on how, Jews and others should, why, how, where, whatever, who, what, when, where, how Jews and others should go argue against these ideologies, which can be applied to other, like, I saw a radical coder. That guy was arguing against racialism on Politically Provoked, doing a pretty good job, being the one progressive doing that. So it's not even necessarily doesn't have to be about the JQ. It can be applied to other topics and such. So anyway, that's all for now. I'll post the debate in the description. Like I'm saying, I don't feel like it's some blockbuster everyone needs to go see. Just if you want to check it out, go check it out. You get some insight from it. Anyway, everyone have a good day.